Hey, hi, this is the council meeting. It is Thursday, June 22nd. It is actually.
No, it's not. You're as bad as me.
June 12th. I can't read today. It's been a long day. It is 7:55 p.m. because we had a lot to talk about. And I'm going to turn it over to the mayor.
All right, let's do roll call. We have Councilperson Martin.
Hi, oh, here.
Again, it's almost 8 o'clock. Okay, Councilperson Koss.
Present.
Council President Cameron.
Here.
Councilperson Grant.
Present.
Councilperson Pinter.
Here.
And Councilperson Passion.
Here.
And now we're going to do Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next. We are going to, do we have a motion to approve the May 22nd, 2025 committee as a whole minutes?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Do we have a motion to approve? Those are approved. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the May 22nd, 2025 council meeting minutes?
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Do we have a motion to approve the June 5th, 2025 work session minutes?
Motion.
Second.
And just for the record, the transcript software that we used had two options, the 11-page option and the 3-page shorter version. I discussed with our administrative assistant and made the call to put the 11-page. I felt it was a little more detailed, and there was a lot of meat in our 3-hour meeting last week, so.
Yeah, there was. Okay, 11 pages.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Wait, who said? Okay, wait.
Yeah, we did it.
Okay.
Do it again. I just interjected.
I did it, Kathy seconded it, everybody said aye. Here you go.
Any opposed?
No.
And any abstentions?
Here you go.
I don't think you can say no and then. No,
Keep going.
keep going.
Okay. Okay. Next, we are going to move to our village official reports, and we will start with Chief Mandel.
So I was just looking through it real quickly. I submitted that last week. I don't have anything to add to that report.
Are we safe? That's what I would ask.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes.
How are the new speed signs?
There was an issue with the batteries that the company supplied us. They're taking them back and getting those replaced. They wouldn't charge. They took the initial charge, and then on recharge, they were doing it. So right now we have the one on Maplewood is still working. The one on Winter Lake, we're waiting for the companies to get the replacements to us.
Okay. Have you been able to look into that software and kind of?
It's not as nice as the traffic study software, so you get raw data,
Okay.
but you can sift through it and kind of see what's going on. So it still gives you a kind of image of what's going on. And speaking with the residents on Minerva Lake Road, they said it's had an impact.
Good. What about Maple? Have you heard anything from them?
No, I haven't spoken to anyone there.
Okay. Okay. But you're happy with it?
Yeah, so far they're doing, our plan is to leave them up for about 30, 45 days, and then we find another location. And there'll be kind of complaints driven, plus, we know from the traffic study that the majority of the speeds going on that section of road are going toward Cleveland. So we put it there. The residents want one going both ways. So we'll perhaps put it on the other, facing the other direction on incoming traffic when we move it. But that's it. Yeah, it seems to be working. The residents like it. So.
Okay. And then I know we're voting on an officer tonight, or do we still have any openings? Or-
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, we are still, we have replaced 2 of the 3.
okay, so we have one left.
We have one last, one more to get to full staff.
Okay. Where are we in that process?
We had a couple that were in process, and then they took other jobs.
Okay.
We had a third one that we were going to get right out of the academy. We try to get the ones with experience, but at this point, we're like, well, if we get someone that has no bad habits, then we can teach them the right way from the beginning. So, but they ended up taking a job at Granby Heights, as most of these academy graduates do. They have their applications out all over the place. So
Right.
as short as everyone is, we're fighting over resources. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know that anybody's fully staffed around here, in fairness,
Now,
any of
we
them.
were doing very well for a long time.
Yeah.
Because, there's agencies around us that have been down for years.
Wow.
So,
There seemed to be a jump in calls for service. Was there any trends or something going on with calls for service that caused the 20% jump? Or
no, I think there was, so you gotta, those calls for service also include the traffic stops, and the traffic stops were up this month too. So, so we made 118 of those. But nothing major. I didn't see like a huge spike in it, other than compared to last year, but
yeah,
maybe last year was low. We usually run in that 340 to 380 range.
okay.
Anybody else? Okay, we're gonna go real quick down these. Our fiscal officer was here, went over a lot of information. I am going to just refer to talking about it in our committee reports, so we will do an overview on that. Our engineer was here. I'm gonna give that brief update. Our engineer was here just a couple days ago, 3 hours of our lives that we sat here, so a lot of useful information. I know, I'm sure it was great for Tony because it was, just information that he's never heard. We have obviously a lot of large projects that are going on and a lot of large projects that still need to be addressed when it comes to streets and sewers, and so there's going to be a lot coming up. So I guess here's my little pitch that says if you want to know what's going on, pay attention.
Yeah.
We do put things in the newsletter. We do that as much as we possibly can. We put it on the website. We put it as many places as we possibly can, short of going door to door. So,
We can't afford a town crier, guys.
we got a couple of them, so we just don't pay well.
Next time we bring in Mike, let's request he send us his deck ahead of time so we can review it and then kind of come up with questions instead of having to go slide by slide.
Yeah,
I think
So-
that would really-
and
like Beacon.
And all of it is, one thing that we try to do, and sometimes we get out of it, just depending on how busy, especially, all of our lives are busy too, and it is a long meeting. Is I would really like to continue to try to do that like every 3 months. It might sound like a lot, but I think, I just think it's one of those things that we have so much going on that
We need it.
I think there are times in which I forget, I know what's going on because I sit in here every single day, so it's like, what did I tell you, what did I not tell you, what are we working on that you guys don't know enough information about? And if you guys don't have enough information about it, obviously residents don't. So it's bringing him in here just kind of freshens it all up and reminds everybody of what we're doing. So, so maybe we can look at the calendar and we can just go ahead and get that scheduled for like September, October time period, before the holidays, but after the busy summer. So, that's just something that we'll work on getting some dates set up for that. So, Jesse is also out tonight for our legal team, so I'm gonna go with, he will be here in 2 weeks, so if anybody has any questions, just keep me posted, let me know. Eric is also out tonight. John Canty's report is in there, so if you guys wanna flip through that and see if there's anything. Obviously, I can have some conversations with him on early next week and talk to him about the desire to make sure that he is noticing people with tree limbs hanging down. Also go back through the sidewalks that haven't been addressed, that are broken, cracked, those types of things. So see if we could do a couple house cleaning things on top of the busy grass season that we're dealing with.
And I can only speak to, I can speak to what the MI section, but I'm more familiar with the MI section. There have been some our tree policy that we adopted was if a tree dies of natural cause, it does not need to be replaced. But if it's damaged in some way, it needs to be replaced. And there are some that have been damaged from cars hitting them and have not been replaced. So I think that's one thing. There is a tree on, it's near the middle lake by the tunnel that is leaning severely. I don't know if it's been hit or whatnot. And then we do have some trees that died last year that are on village property that we have not replaced. Now, my understanding about replacing trees and shrubs is you do it in the fall. So I just want to kind of keep that back on the burner that come this fall, we probably should replace them. I don't think there's a lot, but.
No, I wanna say we did about 5 or 6 with Brad last year. But I also feel like there's a really good time to do it, and once they start losing
Yes,
their leaves, it's like,
that's when you're supposed to.
Yeah, when they're
I understand, but then we gotta mark them before that to know which ones, because that's the concern I had
At
last
this
year.
point, they're not there at all.
Okay.
So they're empty, we cut them down.
So this is not a like excuse whatsoever, but is this something that's easily noticed for someone like me? I'm not talking about the village property, but even the ones that you're saying have been hit by cars.
I think it's pretty obvious.
Are they broken or they're just gone?
One was backed over by a vehicle
Okay.
coming down the driveway. It looks like a bush now, because what
Okay.
the stump that was left, is growing this year, so it's probably 3 feet off the
Okay.
ground. But there's a trunk this big and no tree attached to it. The one leaning is pretty obvious, it's
Okay.
right there as you're turning towards the tunnel, but as you're going over the tunnel, I can't think of the name of that street right now.
That's fine. We'll look.
Huh?
And I say that because if it's something that there's just a tree missing, I don't know that our code enforcement officer would realize that there's a tree missing somewhere.
I mean.
But if it's not there, it
I
should.
get that, but
Yeah.
does that say something about our code enforcement officer? How can you enforce something if you're not walking the neighborhood or going through it?
But I think some houses have multiple ones down the side, and I don't know if you know exactly how many feet apart and when they stop and when they start and all of that kind of stuff. So I think it's easy to say that I don't know that I walk in a lot. I don't know if I would notice if one tree was missing. I hate to say that. And I'm not saying that we don't. So maybe that's one of those things that it would be nice if some people would say, it would actually, we have plenty of code enforcement officers around in this section. But it would be nice if we had a couple, yes, it would be nice if we had some people that were reporting, hey, this looks to be missing or something like that. So, and I don't know that he doesn't notice it, but again, I think if it's the only one in front of someone's house, I would notice it. But if there were a couple, I don't know for sure if I would. So I think it's important that we, if there are certain ones that we know of, if somebody could send an email, that would be awesome. And then we can address those first and then continue to address the other ones, especially ours. Because those need to be done. Okay, so anybody has any questions for any of the above, let me know. And then we will then move to Councilperson Grant for planning and zoning.
Perfect, yes, planning and zoning actually met yesterday. That's why I'm so thankful to be back again today.
He's joking.
Joking. And we discussed a request, from Councilperson Cost specifically, in regards to the signage along the commercial properties on Cleveland Avenue, that perhaps did we want to entertain, or we were asking planning and zoning to provide their possible recommendation on how they would like the commercial signage to look. And it was balanced with the idea that we might have some changes to the use of that into a planned district. So changes we might want to make would be overridden by the fact that we do a planned district, and overall planning and zoning elected to say we'd rather wait for there to be a planned district and then we could be a part of that conversation. So they didn't have anything for the signage to share with us at the time.
But in fairness, the second part to this, and I don't wanna step on your toes,
Do
but
it.
I'm gonna say it. The issue is, we can't force them to change their signs.
Correct.
But if they could change them, or if there was a code enforced, then they could change it.
Here's my thought process is, we don't know at what point that's gonna happen. So
Correct.
it's like, okay, I wanna remodel my kitchen, but in the meantime, I'm gonna paint my cabinets to make it at least appropriate until I can do a permanent fix. So my thing is we're not, I understand that it needs an overhaul at some point, but I would like to make it at least a little bit more aesthetically pleasing to hold us over. It is
Yeah.
not, it is a temporary fix. And I think what I'm asking, and maybe we should revisit this, is that the signs that will now be replaced from here on out at least have some sort of uniformity to it, and maybe a uniform font size, and maybe a uniform color.
I don't think they have any interest in talking about it. I think they wanna talk about the plan district.
So.
And then, so they have no recommendations.
That's my, can we move forward without them?
Yes,
Okay, let's do that.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
So if people, so.
they're a suggested
we asked
body.
them- We asked them for their input, we are
Yeah.
with them
Okay.
as a body, we can make our own recommendation and pass it.
How do you guys feel about this?
I don't see anything wrong with passing something.
Just to be clear here, you want this to happen like this year or next year or something?
So what I
I'm
think,
not asking them to replace the signs. I'm
Okay.
asking something to be on the books that if a new business moves in, they follow a code so that eventually all the
Something new,
signs
okay.
match up.
yes, it's not forcing business owners to change, it's saying, hey, a new business comes in,
Starting a new standard.
there's a new lamp lighter,
I
or
think
whatever the lamp place
question-
is,
I
yeah.
think the question that came up during our last discussion about this though was that, it has to be a new building, it can't be a new tenant. Because they're grandfathered in.
That's
Because
what I was
the signage-
understanding.
The signage rules go with the building, not with the tenant.
Sure, but if the sign comes down, then
But if a new sign.
if they were to replace it,
So replacing it would be removing it completely from
Correct.
the building. They're not doing that. All they're doing is replacing the guts. But let's get further clarification from our attorney on that, and just double check it.
And in fairness, it was a 45-minute conversation, for the most part, about the one was, you know, the one strip mall is pretty set forward. I mean, they're all the same size, they're all the same everything, different colors, but at least that was uniform. The other one, some signs were this big, some were this big. So like, we recognized all of that, so it was given to us that the other option was for the village to potentially fund it. And that was a very large, like, yeah, not gonna happen.
and I was frustrated in that conversation because we're talking about how, and we don't need to talk about how in a planning and zoning meeting, we need to talk about what.
Right.
Yeah.
And I tried to steer the conversation, but sometimes there's a mob mentality of what you wanna talk about, and I couldn't
Right.
guide it back.
So that is, I guess, the thing is, my question is it a possibility for us to be able to achieve that? And I'm not asking for, everybody has to have the same font, and it's Village of Minerva Park, and it has to be forest green, and this, whatever. I'm just asking for all of the signs to be somewhat uniform in appearance, and is there a way for us to achieve that at a minimal, cost to literally everybody? If a business is going to change a sign anyways, or a new business moves in, can we just ask them, hey, can you make it look like this so everything looks more visually appealing?
And you're saying we need to ask Jesse because if it's just a new tenant,
There
that
might be
may
a,
not be.
Right. Because the sign is attached to the building, and the building would fall under, would be grandfathered in.
And the way that we have it right now is they're allowed to have 3 colors plus black and white.
Okay.
And that's where, I mean, some of them are purple, I mean, they only have the 2 colors, but again, some are purple, but you
It
guys
has to
have
fit
seen
in
them.
that certain box.
I
the
just want
size
to
of
make
it.
sure if we can make it nicer, then to make it
I
nicer.
absolutely agree.
It's a great question for Jesse.
I appreciate planning and zoning and saying, hey, we're looking at the bigger picture down the road of us redeveloping that section. I think we've made the mistake in the past of kicking the can down the road, and it's come back to bite us. So
Yeah.
I think Councilperson Cost, I agree, we can put something on the books, and that way it's there if we need it,
Yeah,
and until we get the better plan.
yeah. As this is, again, this is a paint job and not a remodel.
Right.
And that's, I'm totally, you know,
Yep.
I hope everybody understands that. Yes, we can do better, but sometimes I want to do nicer faster.
Now, let me go back then to that redevelopment of that area. We need to move a little faster on that.
Agreed.
So it either means planning and zoning can have a seat at that table,
Or not.
or we can have the discussion as council, but we've got to move fast on that.
And is that a job for Eric to handle?
It's
We-
planning and zoning, so,
Yeah,
you know, you're the liaison, take
Yeah.
it to planning and zoning and see if they want a seat at the table.
I got a question. What happens if someone tears that building down or the strip mall and redoes a whole new?
Exactly.
That's exactly what we're talking
You're
about.
absolutely, yep.
So there's
That kind-
there's two things here
Can we
right now.
change it at that
Again,
point again?
yeah.
Because that's the question, I guess I'm trying.
There's the short-term solution.
Yeah,
Let's say someone does tear, the ultimate goal is that we rezone that so that it is a nicer development. It's not a tear down and rebuild what's there.
right.
It is an improvement on what's there. That's the long-term goal, right? So we rezone that area, we make it, there's some type of incentive for a developer to come in, remove those older buildings and build something nicer that is more pleasing on the eyes, helps traffic, you know, because think about the one that doesn't have a sidewalk in front of it, people just pull out of that one all the
Oh
time.
my gosh.
All of that can be part of that rezoning,
The only
right?
reason I'm kind of saying that is like, say if we, you know, in 5 to 10 years, that building is still there and we just have to make new signs, for example.
Mhm.
And then 20 years or 15 years, something in the future we've never seen before, they want to have like hologram, what, I mean, should we address that at that
That's
time?
what's,
Or,
that's what councilperson Cost is asking us to do. So there's two parts to it. There's the
Yeah,
short
yeah, yeah.
term, you know,
in the long term?
and then the longer term. You know, as a body, we need to not just look at the short term stuff, but we need to look at the long term of this village. We have the opportunity to set the future of what Minerva Park looks like, and we can't just look a year in the future, we gotta look 20, 30 years as well.
Yeah,
So,
we have to, you know,
so currently it's retail, kind of a commercial district,
right.
and if we change it into a planned district, I think that Eric was mentioning, and I wish he was here,
Yeah.
to answer this or speak to it, because he's like, a planned district is, you're setting criteria that, only what we approve can be approved in that time, unless we come up with,
Right.
and generating additional standards.
Right.
yeah.
So, yeah,
And I know Columbus City Council had it on their agenda for their last council meeting to vote on that rezoning of that. I tried to look it up real quick, I couldn't find it.
Are you talking
I
about the
don't-
61 corridor?
Yeah, the 160.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, they're gonna move forward with
Yeah,
it, they don't,
yeah. So if they're 2 steps ahead of us at this point in time. We gotta catch up.
So my only thing is like, do we want to do the same thing? And we gotta talk about this.
But that'd be a great survey question
Yeah,
too,
We gotta
right?
talk about this, yeah.
We do have to talk about it.
Yeah.
No?
But we also have to move quickly, so.
Correct.
I don't
Let's
know.
spend a
More of a
lot of time talking
strategic
about it.
survey, but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No,
I'm sorry, I don't wanna throw that too
no.
dynamite in
Okay.
there. Thank you,
So-
I'll definitely,
Thanks for trying. I appreciate you.
you're welcome,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Anything else? Sorry, I'm not sure.
next
No,
meeting.
that's it, thank
Next
you.
meeting.
Next meeting is, do you know when next meeting is? It's,
Right.
Oh, no, we're not having planning and zoning.
It's
in
August
July.
11th.
It's August, yes, you are
yes,
correct.
August 11th. I remember that now. Next meeting.
On Monday?
Planning and zoning.
No, that's not right either, it must be August
Is it?
13th.
Okay, August 13th.
It's all right,
Well, that's Wednesday.
Did I know that?
you're not crazy. Okay, I don't know how I thought it was the 11th too, just so you know.
That's wild.
Okay. Barb, I don't know if you knew that, but yes, we decided on August 13th. Doesn't sound right now, but
It's August something, I remember.
and it was like the second, yeah, it was the second one, not the first, because there was other people out. Okay. MPCA, Council President Camera.
So normally, MPCA's meeting would have been last night, but planning and zoning trumped it, so they canceled it this month. I will say Arts in the Parks was this past weekend, that's only 20 minutes I said it. And seemed to be very successful. You know, I think there was a good variety of vendors there. I heard good things about it, I did stop by and peruse. So
21st.
The 21st of next.
I'm probably wrong on that too. Is that a Saturday?
So Sip and Dip is coming up, and
Saturday,
then,
21st.
Yeah.
they'll have their family fun night. I believe there's a Pride event pop-up this month that's happening. I will say, we did get an email, I don't think it was addressed to all of council. So let me pull it up real quick, because I think it's important to review it, just so you guys can hear about this. Sorry, what's that garden? Not Mary Yost Garden, is that what it's called? Okay, so Lisa Craddock sent us, or Thidoff sent us an email. She said, I received word that Ann Lilly, the person responsible for funding the garden maintenance at the Mary Yost Garden, has passed on. The Hayes, the couple that's been doing this awesome work for many years, have let me know that they will prep the garden for the June 29th garden tour, making sure it's pristine and mulching. The ballpark cost is $1,400. After this, they said they will not continue this work. Bob Gale and I, as co-founders of Minerva Flora, have been contacts for the Hayes through the years. One question for you is, will Minerva Park pick up this bill to have them take care of the garden one last time? And then going forward, just wondering if the village will care for the maintenance before the garden tour. I just wanted to inform council of that. I don't know that we need to discuss it tonight, but
I don't know if we're ready to discuss it, what if the state left something in regards to that person?
well, there is a Mary Yost fund.
Well, that's what I'm
We
saying,
have
but
that.
like that other person, maybe there's something, I think there's maybe something settled before we.
Possibly, but I think with their, I don't think it will be settled before June 29th. Typically, the states are instead
They
of that.
did, yeah, but didn't they say they would take care of it?
They will take care of it, but there's a cost involved with it,
I
and it's
see.
$1,400 to do the mulching, that's what they're estimating that, so. I don't know if that's just an administrative thing where you can take it out of the Mary Yost fund.
No, it can't be taken out of the Mary Yost fund. The Mary Yost fund can only actually be used for
Perennials.
perennial. Whatever lasts longer than a year. Annuals, no, perennials, yes. My understanding is the village has the funds, has money somewhere that we could be able to use that. As long as council's okay with something like that, because again, it's another expense that not necessarily was expecting, and just because we have it, is this something that council is in agreement with spending? And, when it comes to things like this, is it something that we can approve? I'm sure. But I also like to have your guys' blessing on things like that when it comes to expenses that are over $1,000.
I mean, since we have to make a decision, I think, tonight.
Yeah, and I don't think there's not
If we have the money,
vote.
I think we should spend it.
Yeah.
Let's get through this, and then we can have a bigger discussion around it. Maybe 5 seasons, just to take care of it in the future. I don't know what that looks like, or not 5 seasons, but whoever we use, right?
So we would like to start that conversation earlier rather than later. I'm kind of, Jeff and I have been talking about that as well. That we do want to bring someone in here like we did the last time, sit down with them and actually be prepared for exactly what we want done. So this would be something great that we can talk to them about by throwing it in, this needs to be done by this date. I think the second part to that is I know that what they're asking for is for it to be ready to go for the 29th, and and in the future before this event, but does that mean somebody's gonna be caring for it the rest of the months, or? So I think that there's more of a conversation there too. Or is this something that needs added into the estimate
Right.
for the rest of?
It seems like they're gonna be mulching right now, which probably is a big expense. After that, maybe,
I think it's,
we'll have to have some
yes.
discussions.
I'm not in disagreement. I just think that if we're gonna be talking to a couple landscapers, and I do believe we need to bring 1 or 2 in, because as we found out, it was a much larger expense when we talked to some other people, because what we want done and what we're having done might be 2 totally different things right now, or what we're receiving. And not in a negative way, I just think we were expecting a lot more.
I've never been to this garden. Is it a lot of mulch?
It's right,
It's all the all.
yeah,
Probably.
and it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, but it's all, but the other thing maybe we can look at too, at some point, is doing permanent mulch, like rocks and stuff, which would save us a lot of money and, yeah.
It's one of those things like, is this a need or a want?
I mean, it's been there and it's historic and I think it is, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's nice,
Yeah.
I like it, a lot of people enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's in a big walking path, I think a lot of people notice it, I think it brings, you know, like,
Okay, so that wasn't officially from, I mean, Minerva Flora is part of the MPCA at this point, so, you know, not necessarily an official report from them, as I said, they didn't have a meeting, but, did I mention about, Family Fun Night? That also comes up, sometime this summer, so there are future things. Let me just plug in MPCA, they have a website, go to their website, look up those events, they post it on the MPCA page. If their event is happening at the pool, those are posted on the pool's website, so we try to inform people, at far enough in advance of this happening. And that's awesome.
This, now I'm gonna get into the weeds for 30 seconds, but I don't know if you're responding to this or that. The only other thing I need to know is, it's $1,400, but are we expected to do anything else? Pick up, drop off? Because that's one of the things that eventually comes up, like, they wanna do these events, and I'm thankful that they do these events, but then we find out that our maintenance team is the one that has to go complete this or complete that. So that is something that we have a very short maintenance staff that I just need to know if they're gonna be expected to go pick up the mulch and drop off the mulch and, you know, all of those types of things.
Do you want me to respond to her?
I mean, I think it's something we need to know, because if it's in 2 weeks, they're, you know,
Okay, I can answer.
that would be awesome.
Okay.
I mean, it's not the end of the world, it would just be nice to know before, 3 days before.
Okay, I will ask the question. Oh, it did come to all council, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, but the $1,400 is not the end of the world, it's more about, for me, making sure that we have the staff to do it, and the time to do it,
The details.
the details,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it's then, oh yeah, well, who's gonna put it down? We're gonna do the work, but who's gonna, yeah.
Or who's gonna pick it up, and who's gonna go load up the 50 bags, or, yeah.
Just to clarify, the $1,400 is just for the mulch.
Just for the mulch.
I understand.
I mean,
Not
I don't know, $2 Home Depot is still going on, but.
Don't, okay.
Finance.
Finance.
Okay, committee reports. Councilperson Penter, finance.
Just two things to note for May. Two reports were provided by Jeff. He went through briefly with the tax budget. Just one thing to note with the tax budget, it's not really an operating budget, it's really to do with funding in regards to what we get from the federal and state levels. With that being said, we did have a list of questions that I just kind of proposed. Jeff did address those questions to me directly, and I just pushed it to council. I didn't realize I didn't address everybody, so just want to make sure you guys had that. And then as far as the May budget was also presented or provided over the last week, and with that, looks like funding is in pretty good state as of May 31st. The one thing we just addressed briefly was the pool and how slow it's been because of the weather, but we do expect it to pick up, so, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? I don't think I've asked if anybody has any questions all the way up to this point. I usually do. Okay. Councilperson Passion for safety.
I have two things for safety, because our chief is not given to bragging on himself. I will brag for him. I would like to read the first part of his report, where he says that the department was recognized with Lexipol's Gold Standard Award for excellence in law enforcement policy management in 2024. This marks the second consecutive year the department has earned this distinction. Lexipol supplies the department's policies and procedures, as well as daily training bulletins, blah, blah, blah. Receiving the Gold Standard Award signifies that the department consistently provides its officers with up-to-date policies and best practices in compliance with state and federal regulations. I wanted to make sure that everyone here and everyone listening knows we have an award-winning police department.
Gold star.
Yeah. said, we have every reason to feel very safe living in this village. We understand there are some concerns, but what we're here to say tonight is if you see something, say something. Don't tell a council member. We don't carry badges, and they definitely don't give us anything deadly. Call the police department, it is what they're there for. Even if you question, is this really a police thing? Call them. They're wonderful, they're amazing. They're here to help us, that's what they want to do. Call the police. If you feel unsafe for any reason, call the police. It's what they're here for, it's what our tax dollars pay for. JP, anything else?
If they're soliciting, if they're parked on the wrong side of the road, if you see a speeder doing something crazy, anything, please call the police. Do not get on Facebook.
Yeah, oh my gosh,
Don't
thank you.
message me either.
Wait, no, first call the police, then get on Facebook.
Yeah, there you
Then I
go.
wanna
You call
know
the police
about
and
it.
they get on.
Well,
And that telephone number is
Thank you, that's all I was waiting for.
614.
614
614-525.
33333.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And
With 614-525?
Ask for Minerva Park.
Yeah.
And ask for Minerva Park. Police.
3333?
And then ask for Minerva Park.
Yes.
And please know, Facebook is not an official communication vehicle for
The police.
the police, definitely, or for the village. I don't consider Facebook
Or the
an
council.
official way of doing anything. And so if you go out on Facebook, all you're doing is kind of finding other folks
You're just
who happen to be
venting at that point,
listening. You're not talking to the people who can solve things, meaning the police department.
Yeah, and unfortunately, our police chief is not psychic along with the other officers,
Yeah.
so they need to
But I thought
know,
he
and the
got
only
that.
way they can know is if you pick up that phone
Yeah.
and call them, so please call them.
Yes,
Thank you.
yeah,
I
thank
thought he
you.
was taken.
Yes, thank you.
no, yeah, he actually is, he's not admitting to it. Just to remind everybody, again, they said the phone number, but when they answer the phone, it says Franklin County Sheriff. Don't let that freak you out, because I will admit, I did the same thing the first time I called. And then you just say, I need a Minerva Park dispatched, a Minerva Park officer dispatched. And even I have heard residents say, I didn't want to bother them. And that's what we pay them for.
That's what
So-
the non-emergency line is for.
Exactly.
It's the bother line.
It is.
And I'm
So,
sure that they'd much rather get a non-emergency line call than a
Correct.
911 call.
correct. So again, thank you guys for saying that. We put it in the newsletter. We try to do it on anywhere and everywhere we possibly can. We've got magnets. We have, I think we're gonna all wear t-shirts this year at our First Responders Night, which is September 10th. So you're not gonna be here. No. So again, maybe we'll come up with something fun or a banner or something that has the number that just people can see it, or who knows, but it's been an ongoing battle. Chief, how many years you've been here? 10. In 10 years, has it gotten any better? Maybe a little? For people knowing who to call?
I think we've made improvements,
Yeah.
but there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, so we have a long way to go, but if we continue to put it everywhere and just remind people, we just want people to know how to get a hold of our police department. I think we've even had people just leave voicemails on Saturday nights at 3 a.m. So we have had that. So we don't have girls in the basement, as some people have responded before. The sheriff's, yes, we have that.
They just
Barb is
answers
up.
the phone.
Yeah.
Barb in the basement.
Yeah, it's Barb in the basement.
Minerva
So-
Park.
Thank you for that, because again, I feel like it's super important for people to just remember that they are here for us. So, and we appreciate everything that they do. Let me not speak for you. I appreciate everything you
I
guys
do too. And what I do for new neighbors, or if I meet somebody, what I do is I share the contact in my phone for police dispatch, and I share that contact with the neighbors, so they have that in their phone for police dispatch. And then I say, it's gonna say Franklin County, it's Minerva Park, trust me, I'm a doctor.
So is that what we should all say?
Yeah.
I can say that? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start saying that. Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Yeah,
Jack of all trades.
yeah.
All
Trust me,
right.
I'm the mayor. You should say that.
Anybody else have anything for safety?
We're safe, thank you.
All right, legislation, Councilperson Grant.
Wait, okay, sorry.
Uh-oh.
It's Barb in the basement.
Barb, stay in the
Barb in the
basement.
basement?
Yeah, I was in the basement, sorry, I just.
Well, no, I think, I'm new to this thing, but I think typically we just mentioned how many pieces of legislation we have. And we have 4 pieces of legislation tonight. One of them is for concessions and pool pricing, which we did amend in our previous work session. The next one is an appointment of a new police officer. Another one is a authorization of a roadway improvement project and declaring an emergency. And another one is for the tax budget for 2026.
Thank you.
Yes.
Me, Tommy.
Okay, I'm gonna keep mine short and sweet. We have a tree survey coming up. They're gonna be going in everybody's yards around the lake. We will be sending out notices. I do not know what day they're gonna start yet. This is something that we just approved, in the last couple days. So watch for your postcard to come in the mail. That's gonna have hopefully a date on it. But just be prepared. There's gonna be some people walking around. They're gonna be from baby trees. No one's cutting your trees down. Nobody's doing anything. And it's just for a survey, North Lake and South Lake. We are in the process, as he spoke about tonight, passing our Minerva Lake Road project. It is a road project. It is a little bit of a sidewalk project. It's sewers and all that good stuff project. So it will not start until after the 1st of July. But it is going to start. It is going to put Minerva Lake Road in that direction. Is that north, south, east, or west?
Why are you asking me?
I know.
Which direction?
All the way down there.
Which direction is it going?
Either way, I'm just saying. And Minerva Lake Road down there by Westerville Road.
It's in between farms.
Okay, so the east side is going to be down to 1 lane, so just keep that in mind, if you are gonna be, don't wake up that morning and be mad.
But it's an incoming to the village only. It will be one way, and it will only be going westbound.
There you go. So don't wake up that morning and be mad because you have to go all the way around.
We're
So-
eliminating the left-hand turn onto Westerville Road from Minerva Lake Road
No left-hand turns, no fun.
Yes.
during the project.
And it should be about a 4-month project. So again, just a reminder that this is gonna be happening. Pay attention to Facebook, like we just said, don't go on Facebook except for go on Facebook, pay attention. And the website and all that good stuff. So we will have it posted everywhere as the project gets a little bit closer. Again, this is just your friendly reminder that we've been talking about this Minerva Lake Road project for over a year now. And it is coming, and you're gonna have some road closures, and
But we're
just
gonna
be
get
prepared.
stuff, like sewers and like sidewalks.
And it's gonna be fixed. So, and then I just wanna say thank you to NPCA for the event this past week. It was a great event, lots of people, lots of
It was
fun
amazing.
stuff out there. So, I know Sarah put together a great show every year. So, I know it's a lot of work for all of them for everything that they do. So I just wanna say thank you to NPCA. I don't say it nearly enough. So, and then I will say that today turned out to be a great day for the pool. And that's all I have to say.
I had to work
You missed out.
in a place
Yeah.
that didn't have sunshine.
No, you definitely missed out. All right. And then next, we will start with citizen comments, and we will start with David Roscoe.
And just a reminder, start with your name and address, and you get 3 minutes,
I've been here,
okay?
done that.
Perfect.
He's ready.
I've been in here since 1970.
There you go, you know the rules.
I'm David Roscoe, 2857 Maplewood Drive. I live next to Mike and Jenna at the 2865 property, where all the construction is started. But first of all, a couple of thanks in order to the police chief for putting the speed sign down on Maplewood Drive. We appreciate that very much. I don't know what I heard him say, that they're going to put another direction, or same direction, or on the other side of the street.
We're just gonna move it all over the place.
Okay, if they do, they come around that corner and they go up that road, and they leave the basketball court, it's pretty noisy. But anyhow, I wanted to also thank the mayor for calling me when the construction started. It didn't really, but when they started clearing out all the brush over there, my wife came up and woke me up and said, "You have to go back there and see what they're doing right behind our house." And so I did. And I'm a little concerned about what all is going to be taken out. And I see that they took mostly out behind the 2865 property, but mine's right next to it. And And I said, we babied that reserve area for a lot of years. A long time back in the 70s or 80s, the council, we asked when they started building the homes behind us at Columbus there, we tried to acquire the property, extend the lot line back to the boundary line, and the village council at that time said, well, we won't sell it, but we're just going to leave it as a wetlands forever. Don't need to worry about it. And they said, well, you can use it, and you can take care of anything and do anything you want. So I want to let you know that I've saved you a little money. It cost me this year. I started in 2010 probably when we had the emerald ash borer problem when Easton was built, and the emerald ash borer wiped out every tree in the village except one on your reserve. And I've got a 50-foot emerald ash tree back there that I've been paying Davy Tree for every year to come out and fertilize it and treat it with insecticide, and it's a real specimen. They tell me that this is the only tree in the north end of Columbus except for one over in Beachville. There's a lot of unique trees in there. So I'm really concerned, and particularly right behind our house, we have American elm that was extinct back in the 50s and 60s, I think. It's survived. So we try to keep all of them going. But anyhow, there's a locust grove that they tore down behind Mike's house. And there's a walnut tree, black walnuts, and all kinds in there. But it's a unique property, piece of the land in Monroe Park. But and I want to also thank the mayor for inviting us over to the work session. And then after that work session, we put together this email to all of you. And we're very pleased that you all discussed that tonight. So I won't dwell on any of that. But what I would like to do is ask how you might be able to involve us in helping work this landscape plan, because there's a couple concerns I have. One is and I don't know if we need to work with the village engineer or how it would work, but the fence you have is practically right on the property line. And if you want to screen that fence, the screening might have to be on the resident's property. And I don't know if you can do that through a grant or how you handle that administratively. Or if we work with the engineer and with the water problems, maybe you shove the building back 5 to 10 feet or so. I mean, you need to integrate that landscape plan in with the plot, with the existing plan, and see what can be done there.
Thank you. The timer went off, so
Oh,
I gave you a little extra time.
okay. Well, anyhow, that's all. I want to know if you could somehow, I don't know what the mechanism will be, but if you can somehow keep us involved in how to work in this screening and landscaping, because that's important.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's very reasonable. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Yusuf, is Mr. Yusuf next?
Yeah.
Mayor?
Dick,
Yes.
you're up.
Okay. Go ahead, you're up next.
All right, Dick Busick, 2824 Maplewood Drive. Thanks to what we heard during your work session, I don't have to argue the case. I think you're all aware of what's going on. And I think some of you know that I had some experience in zoning, like 20 years as zoning chairman of Northland Community Council, where I argued probably 1,000 cases before city council. And I can tell you that those 4 items that we listed would be often easily accepted by a client. And I'm hoping that you'll follow through and address them. There is one that I want to emphasize. Dave talked about the screening. If there is a need, if the planner or somebody decides that you need security lighting, if that was something that went on and stayed on permanently, it would really, really destroy the character of the neighborhood. So we're hoping it can be residential, but if not, why not put it on a motion sensor? So it only comes on when you need it. The other issue I wanted to address is I want to make sure that the village engineer, who probably has never seen the site under rain conditions, I described the situation of the elevated properties to the south in Columbus. They dump all the water into the reserve area, and after the bush hog went through there, we walked the land and you could tell where the river was, and it goes right through the center of where the building is to be positioned. So the village engineer needs to know that he's dealing with a stream that is substantial, and it has to be addressed before the plan is completed, because if you don't, it's going to be very hard to address it. So I'd like to close on a lighter note. After the bush hog left, the next day, the skunks and the groundhogs were very confused. And were
yeah.
looking around to see where in the world is my home, where is my home? It's gone, I don't, and they were just, it was a sight to behold. So thank you for your help on this, and we again hope that you will follow through on all four of the concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And just so you know, I'm meeting with Mike and the contractor and everybody, not because of this, but I will be bringing that letter with me tomorrow, and I will make sure he has a copy of it, and we will go over it. So I'm not going to speak for council or but I am going to bring it all to his attention, make sure he has a copy, make sure that the contractor has a copy, and see if there's something, and have a conversation about it tomorrow. So, and then the landscaping, I think, is really gonna be more of a council thing. I don't know that we would really go to our engineer to do that. That's just gonna be a conversation that we'll potentially put, again, I have the Jordan Road issue too, so I would like to see if in a work session, we can actually spend some time talking about, do we have funds? How much funds can we address for this? Because they are in the same boat as, the project is now done. We saw what, I'm gonna not use the word damage, but I'm gonna use the word damage. We can now see what the damage was done in like my neighbor's property. Now there is zero screening. Like they used to have a completely wooded backyard, and now there isn't even a weed, let alone a tree. So, but you don't know that until you see what gets damaged in the process.
After you meet with Mike tomorrow, you also email council
Yes, I will.
as well, just so we're all aware.
Yep.
So but I don't, and I think it's very reasonable for the people to be affected most by this to be involved in the landscape project, to make sure that, again, the impact is as minimal and as favorable as possible.
Perfect. Thank you both again for coming, speaking, and all that good stuff. All right, that was citizen comments, and now we will move to legislation.
Perfect. Legislation tonight, we have ordinance 2025-11, which is going to be a first reading with the intent to suspend rules that require 3 readings and pass as an emergency. Prior to, I don't know what's online, if it's in the packet, but it has been amended to specifically show only 2 items. No longer are the list in Exhibit A. Exhibit A has been reduced to an employee discount of 10%, as well as all products at the end of the season being reduced by 50%. So with that, I move to suspend the rules for 3 readings.
Second.
Do I all in favor?
No, I almost did.
Discussion.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Any discussion?
Is there any discussion regarding it being an emergency
No.
and it's waiving readings?
Okay,
Perfect.
first, okay, so, Councilperson Foss.
Aye.
Council President Camera.
Aye.
Councilperson Grant.
Aye.
Councilperson Pinter. Councilperson Passion.
Aye.
Councilperson Martin.
Aye.
And now that we've suspended the rules for 3 readings, we move to pass ordinance 2025-11.
And declaring an emergency. I know you already said it, but I'm just
Emergency.
repeating
No,
it.
you're fine. It's my first day on the
I
job.
know, that's, and I know we said it the first time, but I just.
Councilperson Grant, did you actually read what the ordinance?
I can. Did I not?
I don't know if you
I
did.
can.
We'll just do it.
It's an ordinance setting policy for pricing of concessions, special event admissions, and other items sold at the Minerva Park Pool and declaring an emergency. I didn't read that. Thank you.
All right. Councilperson Martin.
Aye.
Councilperson Passion.
Aye.
Councilperson Pinter.
Aye.
Councilperson Grant.
Aye.
Council President Cameron.
Aye.
And Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Passes.
Woohoo, we get 10% off. Just kidding.
I'm not an employee. All right, resolution, next one is resolution 2025-14, which is a resolution confirming the mayor's appointment of Amber Blackburn as a full-time police officer for the village of Minerva Park, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. This is the first reading with the intent to suspend the rules that require 3 readings and pass as an emergency. With that, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for 3 readings.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Council President Cameron.
Aye.
Councilperson Grant.
Aye.
Councilperson Pinter.
Aye.
Councilperson Passion.
Aye.
Councilperson Martin.
Aye.
And Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
All right, and with the agreement to pass this emergency as well as waiving the 3 readings, we can now move to pass Resolution 2025-14.
Second.
All right, Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Are we gonna do any discussion?
Oh, is there any discussion?
No discussion.
Oh, do you guys want to discuss it?
Should we ask David's question and not?
I thought we always did that in 6 months.
He only has that on the final.
I was gonna say, I think that's at 6 months. Once we get to know, yeah.
Okay.
So 5 months and 3 weeks to her.
We already gave our nod to him on the agenda. I don't know if we need to like bring that.
Fair enough, okay.
Okay, Councilperson Cost.
Aye.
Councilperson Martin.
Aye.
Councilperson Passion.
Aye.
Councilperson Pinter.
Aye.
Councilperson Grant.
Aye.
And Council President Cameron.
Aye.
So you are taking over that role then?
You just signed up for it.
You already signed up for it?
I think that's Kathy's job.
All right, okay, let's go. It's 9 o'clock. We're ready.
All right, the next one is Resolution 2025-15, which is the 2025 Roadway Improvement Project. A resolution authorizing the mayor and the fiscal officer to enter into a contract for the 2025 Roadway Improvement Project and declaring it an emergency. This is the first reading with the intent to suspend rules that require 3 readings and pass it as an emergency on the second reading.
Yeah, so just so everyone's aware, this is a pretty big project. It does affect neighbors. We want to give, if people want to come and comment before our next meeting, before we pass this is the opportunity to do it. So we're not trying to push things through. However, we have to waive that 3rd reading in order to start this July 1st, when the funds become available for this project. So we don't want to delay the project, but we also want to give residents a chance to say something if they need to.
And we're also trying to minimize the school impact for school
Correct.
kids that are walking to school and people in the buses traveling as well.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be disruptive, and we realize it.
All right.
Perfect. All right, next is Resolution 2025-16, which is for the tax budget. This is the first reading. It is a resolution to adopt the tax budget for the village of Minerva Park, Ohio for the year beginning January 1, 2026, and to submit the same to the Franklin County Budget Commission and to declare an emergency.
And this says first reading, I know you were working on something else.
Yeah.
So we are gonna read it a second time, but only a second time.
So intent to pass on the second reading.
We will pass up the second reading. On the 26th, which is our next council meeting, there will be, what's it called?
Public hearing.
Public hearing about this tax budget or the proposal for the tax budget. And I believe we decided that would be at 6:30, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so 6:30, notices will go out on Monday for that. Again, this is just to say that the village has the expenses to justify the budget that we want to pass or would like to submit for in the fall.
And this is horrible, and I should know the answer to this, but does this actually have to be published in the paper thing as well?
Not sure. I'll look it up.
We're gonna have to look it up and make sure that if not, we need to reach out to Jesse, because for some reason I thought it did. And we need to make sure that if that is the case, that there is enough time.
Right, I think it only needs to be 10 days, but I'm not sure what their publishing deadline is, so we'll
Yes.
check that out tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just putting the notices out or if it actually has to be, because for a public hearing, I feel like it has to be advertised in that paper.
In the NPCA?
The daily report.
The Daily Reporter.
Oh,
Like bids and things.
Yeah, just again to fulfill the requirement.
okay.
So that was the only thing I was gonna ask when he was here and I totally forgot.
Just do it anyway.
That's the other part, yeah,
Well, we have to make sure we can meet their deadline.
yeah. So just triple checking that, it's, you know,
Yeah, I'll check with Seth first thing in the morning.
yeah. All right, any old business?
I think, going forward, we decided in our work session, we wanna recap some of these projects going on. So where it's not officially on old business tonight, I think going forward, we're gonna put some things on under old business, just as a reminder to ourselves and to the residents, just that we're sure we're covering those topics.
And what's a good way to make sure that's included? How will we go about doing that?
So if you supply it to, the girl in the basement, she could actually put like under old business, and we've done this before, to where it'll say old business and then it would say like one or two things.
Okay.
Should we have just a running list upstairs?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Is what we should just keep on.
Same thing with the work session, I mean, and we used to kind of do that, we would go through like a whole list of things, and sometimes we would just like skip it, and then that keeps people accountable, but also, we all have lives that we forget about certain things. But does anybody have anything for old business, even though there's not anything obvious?
The only question is family. Do we have a date when it's opening? I was just, there's so much construction over there, and
Right.
I'm just curious.
No, we don't, we only get updates if they give us updates, just like any other business in the village. I can tell you personally, I was reached out to Memorial Day weekend was the last I've heard of anything, and that was just asking, I asked them if they knew if they were gonna open this season, and the answer was, they're still dealing with Columbus on certain things. I'm assuming you really haven't heard much. I asked Eric yesterday, just yesterday, because I knew this question was gonna come up, and he has not had any, I don't wanna say any communication with them, but I don't know, he does not know, and I don't think that they know, to be honest. I think that they want to.
The delays have been with Columbus, kind of the zoning and stuff, is that kind of how it
No.
I think maybe with the traffic light, trying to get the traffic light up and running is one of the things, and so there was discussion of potentially like a temporary, something along those lines. But again, I don't know that, I truly don't know if they're gonna be able to get it. I mean, there's a lot of work going on, I don't wanna say that there's
There's a
not,
ton of
but,
work, right?
yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, I guess. So I think my thought is if they don't open in the next 7 to 10 days, I don't know that it would be worth it, but I'm not the business
What
owner.
was the original, open date? Did they ever give
There
you
wasn't
that?
one.
There never was, I mean, I think there was,
June, I think.
yeah, I mean, I think that there was always hope that they were gonna start, or they would be open this year. I don't think that they had doubt that they
4th
would.
of July is their big money night.
Yeah. So I would say, I think if they have the ability to open, they're gonna open, and if they don't, I think they'll be disappointed, but.
I did notice they started digging, and it's all lines and stuff, and they put a thing in there for the workers to go into. That was really close to those other trees too, by the way, which that's why I'm kind of like, oh wow, here we go. So again, it just could probably put this on the agenda if it's okay for the next couple.
And we absolutely can. I think the other thing, and this is not a nice way to say this, but we don't get involved in other people's businesses. Yes, we can request updates. Yes, we can do all of that kind of stuff. But it is something that it's not, this is horrible to say, but we have Eric doing 40 other things and making sure that they're doing what they're doing. They do contact us for permits, they do contact us for things, signage, all of that. So it's not like we're not in communication with them and all of the other businesses as well, but I don't know that we really get much of a weekly or, you know, if anybody ever has anything specific, they can always email us as well. And again, I have no problem reaching out to them and saying, hey, what's going on?
I don't know where I heard this, and it doesn't matter where I heard this, but I heard that they offer to possibly replace trees in other places of the village or give some funds towards that. I would be hesitant to accept those types of gifts from them because I feel like their intentions may be good, but I think it looks bad for us as a village knowing that our residents, it's a pain point for our residents. And I think it looks like we're in bed with them if we accept those gifts from them. So I feel we need to be cautious with that. I don't know what other council members feel. I don't want to speak for y'all, but for me, I think it looks like they're trying to bribe the village.
I think they're trying to be good neighbors, and I think that,
Again,
and I'm not you
I
guys.
can't judge, you know,
Right.
I don't want to judge them and their intentions.
Mhm.
They may have the best intentions and that may be it. I just think we need to kind of stay back. It looks better for us as a village.
And I think once they open and people see if it is a train wreck, if it is working out, if they did fulfill the things that they said that they were going to do, I think time will tell. And I mean, I'm gonna say this, I think, you know, I'll say this with anything, if that guy over there wants to pay for a tree and put it over here, more power to you. I mean, I don't like to say that, but if Yasmin offered to do it, I would also think that, so I don't wanna speak for council, I'm not gonna speak for council when it comes to that. Me personally, you wanna give us $10,000, write the check.
I get it, right?
And I know that's probably horrible to say, but it's, yeah.
Is there any other concerns though? Like we talked about the trees being taken out, because you mentioned about, you know, I don't like using that term necessarily being in the bed with them, but
Right.
are there any other things other than,
I mean, yes.
than actually building themselves? But is there anything else that came up after that? The trees are one thing.
Right, they knocked over a neighbor's mailbox.
That's not them though, you
I
can't
understand
blame
that. I'm
Phantom
not
for
blaming
it.
them. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is a sore subject right now, and we need to let the wound heal.
And I agree with that
And prove
completely.
to see where they are, because if they are, you know, if they do fulfill their promises, and then they're on top of that trying to be good neighbors, that's one thing. If they don't fulfill anything and say, but here's a couple of trees, go away, that is a
Totally
completely different nuance of what the intentions are.
I do not disagree with that.
Yes.
And I would
So-
say, my
so-
interactions have been, I feel as if, and I understand you guys don't talk to him like, you know, and I don't talk to him once a month, I've literally talked to him maybe twice since everything. I do feel like their intentions are good, and they know the wound that some people do have. So that was just something that they offered because they saw some people up in arms, like, you guys took these trees down, you weren't supposed to, what can we do to ease the pain? And as you're saying, like, is this, okay, great, we did something you didn't want us to do, so we're gonna give you a couple trees. Like,
Yeah.
is that always gonna be the case? Like, okay, we did something that you don't like, so we're just gonna pay you $500 or whatever. And so I get that, I mean, I definitely do. I know accidents happen, unfortunately, it's something that sucks.
It does.
And it's just, and again, it's opening a wound for the same person that has had the most impact. Right. So I hear that, I see it, I get it. And I think time will tell. I definitely do think it's something that I hear exactly where you're coming from, and here's what I'm gonna say. There's gonna be people that say that no matter what. But I also think that there's gonna be people, yeah, but I also think that there's gonna be people that say, you know what, yeah, you cut down 10 trees, you should replace 10 trees. And there was something, and I'm not gonna go too into this, and this is something we can ask Eric about, and I don't know if it's something that we implemented or we're planning to implement, that if a resident does cut down and this is in their own yard, an large tree, that they are to replace that tree somewhere. So I don't know that it's not something that they should be expected to do. So again, I don't want to speak for it, I don't want to go down that path, because I do think time will tell when it, anyway.
Yeah, I think I have questions for Eric in general, because
Sure.
like that explanation about, oh, it's gonna interfere with their power lines. I walked past it, what power lines?
No, it had something to do with the something, I thought it was more internet something.
Right,
With-
so, but like, I would, here's the thing, is like, excuse me, what I'm like trying to figure out is, I think all of us would like to have a more detailed explanation as opposed to, well, don't worry about it, because we are worried about it, I think,
Yeah.
and there are legitimate concerns, and when we don't worry about it, or even if we ask general questions, what tends to happen is something that isn't what we are told is happening. So I think, speaking from my point of view, I don't know if you guys agree with me, I think hopefully you do, but I think we would just like more detail and more involvement and a little bit more courtesy to, hey, this is a big thing and this is gonna happen, or, hey, this is what's gonna happen, do you want me to, this is how I, check their work just to make sure you guys aren't being like, whatever that saying is like, it's being pulled over your eyes. It's just to make sure that I want to do right by everyone.
Right.
And my priority is not a business that is establishing themselves here. My priority is everybody that already lives here and is established here. So I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page with that. I think we are. I want to say that on record that I'm also disappointed by all of this, and I think we should all strive to do better, and I will try my best.
I have
That's
some
all I
new
got.
business, old business before we adjourn.
No, you know what, it's 9:05, we all spent the other night together as well,
I'll be
so.
really quick. All right, so this Friday, we have Explorers Food Truck and market calendars for the 20th. We have Holy Crepes, and the 27th, Kudo Kebabs, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, since you did that, and I promise I'm done, but Saturday, from 6 to 8 p.m. over at the new middle school, Blendon Township will be
concert,
here
yes.
doing the concert.
Yep.
And I'm just gonna say, I'm not speaking for anybody again, I'm gonna say I'm super excited. Them having this event in our village really means a lot to me. They wanted to do it last year and it didn't pan out. And this year they're making it happen. And I think it's important for our residents, as we are part of Blendon Township. I do think it's important that, that they're including us. I think it's super exciting. Our police departments work together. We do have a lot of shared benefits with Blendon Township, and I know that there was a little concern, and I'm thrilled that we're having it here.
Can you say the time again for this Saturday?
From 6 to 8 p.m.
6 to 8. Thank you.
And
It's free food, Judy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be there. All right.
Free food?
Free, is it free
Can
hot
we be there
dogs?
too? I don't know.
Why do you,
I don't think you're.
I thought there was food trucks.
Free hot dogs. like-
I'd rather pay for food.
The sign said free food. It's free food.
Yeah, I'll be
We've
there.
got the hot dogs.
and we have hot dogs, so if you don't get enough to eat down there, come get your hot dogs.
Free aged hot dogs by JP.
So, again, so that really is it. 6 to 8 p.m. this Saturday. Kind of cool. It's something different we've never had, and hopefully there's a great turnout, and
Yeah.
hopefully people have fun.
Free food.
Sorry.
And free food.
Uh,
And if not, then they'll yell at us, and Pat will call me tomorrow and say, no, we're not having free food.
There's signs that say that.
No, I'm teasing. I'm totally
Cheap.
Chief's paying if not.
This sign says free food.
Just take it.
Just take it. Just don't call the police.
Somebody stole the food, chief.
Just take it, she'll read it on Facebook.
Don't worry, they won't call the police.
We're calling an emergency number.
So I just want to thank council. I think I appreciate y'all. Y'all have put in a lot of work lately. So just publicly, I just want to say thank you for that. And, I know we don't always agree on stuff, and that's okay. That's what makes us a good body. So I just felt like I needed to thank y'all tonight.
I don't want to agree all the time.
No.
It doesn't seem
And
productive.
thank you, Council President,
Yeah,
for
Yeah.
all the work you do.
I don't disagree. I think it's
Mayor?
good to disagree.
good job.
Sorry
Yeah.
for the long meetings, but we got a lot to talk about.
That's
I won
awesome.
y'all back when y'all were elected 2 years ago at the Village, so we have some work to do. And thank you for doing the work.
Well, awesome.
Okay. On that note, I need to go to bed.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned. We're out.